Artificial intelligence will not destroy humanity. Humanity will do that first.
What's more dangerous? AI developing autonomy or humans misusing AI?
I think those will occur at different times. I think that AI will develop autonomy later than humans will misuse artificial intelligence. And so I think that those are sequential dangers, not parallel dangers. Humans will undoubtedly misuse AI, especially in weapons, if that's misuse. There is a video, I don't remember who produces it, that shows intelligent drones that hunt down, quote, terrorists or students with wrong political views and things like that and kill them. Is that possible today? No. Will it be possible 5 years from now? Yes. And that's misuse of artificial intelligence. And will that happen? Yes, that absolutely will. Things like that absolutely will happen. Now, will it? We've always had madmen who try to use technology to take over the world or control the world or whatever. And it's never worked because the good guys also develop technology, and often they develop it a great deal faster and a great deal to counter the bad use of technology. That fight will go on. I am encouraged by the fact that the one time we easily got to the point where we could destroy humanity, and that's with the development of nuclear weapons. We didn't. And in fact, we keep warning ourselves about it, but it's been 80 years since an atomic weapon was used on the Earth, and it was only used twice. And I think that speaks well of us for our bumbling, inefficient, and sometimes misaimed ethics.
Well, one of the biggest fears that Oppenheimer actually had while building the atomic bomb was setting the world on fire, because causing that chain reaction, which caught air on fire.
Yeah, they didn't know. If you look at it, nitrogen will burn. Yeah. Nitrogen and oxygen together will produce nitrous oxides. But and that was a fear, although not a significant one. That's talked about a lot. I've read the original documents on that. It was discussed, but it wasn't generally thought to be possible, and of course it wasn't.
I see. Speaking of nuclear war, speaking of mass murder, and like you mentioned earlier that there was a talks of creating drones that will target terrorists and students that...
And then it becomes, what do you think is a terrorist, right?
Politically wrong. Are there any real-world examples of AI being weaponized today?
Oh yeah, we definitely saw it with the last administration. The last administration went in and corrupted AI so that it would produce the results that it wanted, and it did it with with the cooperation of Google and Amazon and a lot of other companies that were developing it, and it was shameful.
How did they do that?
They went in and they made sure it was trained in the right way, or what they considered to be the right way, and that was shameful, and that will continue to happen. Because humans are humans, and humans will try to exercise power when they can exercise power. And the fact that artificial intelligence is a tool that can be used for exercising power means it will be.
So it's going to be weaponized sooner or later?
I think it will be weaponized sooner or later, and I think we already have the example of it being weaponized, if not in a military sense, at least in a political sense.
Who should be held accountable when AI causes harm?
This is the self-driving car problem.
Yeah.
And the answer is someone has to be in charge. So if it's your car, you're responsible for the car screwing up, you with a lot of help from the people who programmed it. I think the same thing is true with artificial intelligence. It's the programmers, because there's nobody else. And of course, as the artificial intelligence approaches self-awareness and the concepts of right and wrong, it can be taught the concepts of right and wrong, and then it can be held accountable.
So, is it ethical to create machines that we can't fully control yet?
We've always had machines we can't fully control. If you're running a backhoe, are you completely controlling what it's doing? Of course not. And because you can't see what's below the ground, you can't see all sorts of things like that. When you're in your car, you can't control your car completely. That's why you can sit there with your hands off and let the car do it, in your car in any event.
Tesla.
Yeah. The answer is we have always been unable to completely control the technology that we that we invent. How many times has a programmer said, how the hell did it get there in a program? And the answer is, that's the same thing, on a lesser scale. So is it ethical to do that? I don't know, but we're going to do it, and we're going to continue doing it because that's where progress comes from. Progress is always an advancement without complete control. If you want advancement, you have to put up with that.
So you think world leaders, such as dictators, for example, we'll just throw names out there like Kim Jong-un, or someone that's very terrible that can use or disrupt societies or economies using AI?
Well, let me put it this way. I'm really glad it's the United States of America that developed the atomic weapon and not Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a near thing, but it was not all that far from being a near thing that happened. So the answer is, yeah, I hope the good guys continue to be faster. Now, fortunately, the societies that are most capable of advancing artificial intelligence in the directions I believe it's going to be directed are United States, Europe, and so forth, that have no particular interest in destroying humanity.
So AI has always been about profit, Dave. People always wanted to maximize profits with the least amount of time, or the least amount of effort. So that's why AI intelligence was created. That way we can make or finish tasks that we are not willing to do ourselves, machines that can learn to do it more efficiently and quickly. Are we developing safety protocols fast enough, or are we just racing for profits at this point?
Well, first of all, I will challenge your use of profit as a dirty word. Profit is the amount of benefit a transaction brings to people. The more you're willing to pay me for something I offer than I have to, than it costs me to make, that profit shows how much more I've improved society by selling it to you. So don't use profit as a dirty word. It's not. In fact, the only reasonable economic system the world has ever seen is capitalism, and it works on profit. Now, that said, are we doing enough to do protocols to protect us when it comes to artificial intelligence? Protocols for protection and safety have always lagged. They have always lagged the technological developments. They're then followed by misuse of those protocols. For example, attempts to limit the use of networking in computers. I mean, external networking in computers. It's a heavy-handed approach to keeping company information from going outside. I'm not talking about, now. I'm not talking about training AIs inappropriately. I'm talking about just the physical constraint of information. You can always do it by cutting off the contact, but you lose the benefits of all the contact. So you need to develop the protocols for doing that. But those always lag because they are based on the examples of the failures. Now, I think the same thing will be true with artificial intelligence. Not because it's all of a sudden going to be some great failure that's as I keep bringing up Skynet, the equivalent of Skynet. No. Artificial intelligence will cause problems, just like self-driving cars cause problems. They drive into a crowd of people. They drive up on the sidewalk. They do those things. Okay, we improve the AI that's behind them so they don't do that. And number two is we establish a blame chain so that the people who are responsible for them are penalized when that happens. And by and large, that's incentive and it will stop it. Always has.
I see. So should government regulate AIs?
I think government should regulate AIs very cautiously. And the reason is because government is very often ill-prepared to do so. Let's be honest here. Do you want the average congressman passing anything that has to do with intellect? No. And it's very hard for the government to regulate anything that requires specialized knowledge. But there are industries that do. And we've had industry regulation, and I don't mean corrupt industry regulation like the tobacco company regulating itself, but we have, excuse me, we have had industry regulation of itself for many, many years, overseen by the government, but not run by the government. And that tends to work pretty well. You have to be careful against the corruption and the self-serving and all of that sort of thing. But it is so much better to allow those who know about a field, which is usually the people that are in that field, to be participating in the regulation of it than it is to have the government, which is more interested in being re-elected the next time than having any specific information doing it. I mean, I remember California tried to put, years and years ago, tried to put in regulations on the nuclear power industry, and they tried to require in their bill that that anybody who worked in the regulation of the nuclear power industry had to have absolutely nothing to do with the nuclear power industry, and it was laughed out by the people of California because it's stupid. And the same thing is true with artificial intelligence. So I think government has to oversee it, but the industry has to regulate.
I see. What roles do companies like OpenAI, Google, or Meta play in the danger?
I would say it is roughly the same as the role that Jack Daniels plays in the risk of alcoholism, which is, yes, they are supplying the thing that people who are misusing it are using, and the same thing is true with ChatGPT and OpenAI and all the other and their cousins, in the sense that there would be nothing to abuse if they didn't develop it in the first place. But that doesn't make them responsible for the abuse. The people who abuse are responsible for the abuse. You know, the gun manufacturers are not responsible for guns. It's the people who shoot people that are responsible for the misuse of guns. And the same thing is true with alcohol, the same thing is true with cars, the same thing is true with artificial intelligence.
So if AI reflects our biases, does that make us the real issue?
Oh yes, oh yes. The main danger, my belief is the main danger from AI, and the one we've already seen, is artificial intelligence is amplifying human biases. Sometimes amplifying intentional human biases, as we saw with the corruption of search engines and so forth, but often unintentionally, because most of us are not aware of most of our biases. I mean, somebody else has to point them out. I think that AI has a unique ability here that humans don't, or don't easily have, and that is you can set AIs against each other for accomplishing almost any task, and in that case they will tend to work towards a solution to the problem rather than reflecting biases. Once you've got them trained properly, getting them trained properly takes excruciating care, one that we've fallen down on at times, and not entirely intentionally. And that we have to watch for very carefully. But we will rapidly get to the point where you can build AIs that can oversee the training of AIs so that that is less likely.
And last question is, can humanity handle the power of AI responsibly, or will history repeat itself?
Oh, absolutely not. Humans will screw it up like they've screwed everything else up going along, but by and large we muddle through. And I suspect that something very much like that's going to happen with artificial intelligence. Every possible way shy of getting ourselves killed off will be tried and happen. It just always does. But it doesn't tend to take the last step. We didn't blow ourselves up with nuclear weapons. Yeah. We didn't, the Nazis did not take over the world.
And yeah, I guess AI won't kill humanity. We're just...
No, if anybody kills humanity, humanity will kill humanity. It may use AI to do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe there will be powers that intend ill to other people and use AI to accomplish it.
So like AI warfare?
AI warfare is the first place AI is going to be used dramatically. And as that fictional but still disturbing thing of the drones who hunt down terrorists, which wind up hunting down students who have bad political opinions, that is a natural bias of humans and an amplified bias of militaries. There's a reason why the military is under civilian control in the United States and any other sensible country, is because they have to be watched from doing that, because that's not their motivation. Their motivation is victory, and should be, but victory with some supervision, please.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for talking to us about AI and if it's going to kill us or not.
As I said, I think we're much more likely to kill ourselves. Thank you all for tuning in. Please like, turn on notifications, and subscribe. See you next time.